Hello, everyone. Welcome back to TRI's Crypto Top 100, and then we also have it called TRI's Crypto Review. We have so many funny names for it, but it's our Wednesday crypto show with Brian Beamish, the crazy old technician, aka Rational Investor, I suppose, and my fearless crew, actually, three amigos that I've had working with. And you notice it's episode 26. We've been doing this for a good half year now. Nick, Ben, and Derek. We've got two of the three here tonight. I think Derek is off with family. Actually, I think one of his little ones was born was having a birthday and was born here. So there's an interesting Christmas gift for you. I was born the other side of the year, so anyway. Are either of you guys, where were you born around Christmas? It's kind of interesting having Christmas birthdays, eh?
Today is my half birthday.
A half birthday? Now that's interesting. What
So
does
I
that
was
mean?
June. It's 6 months from your birthday, the opposite side.
Oh, I see. All right. Yeah, you're on the other side.
So I'm the exact opposite side.
So there's Nick. Hi, Nick. How's it going?
I'm good, Brian. Happy to be here.
And here comes, since Derek's gone, here comes Ben. Ben, am I allowed to ask when you're born? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm a Virgo, I think.
A Virgo. What does that mean?
September, baby.
September.
Yeah.
Somebody
baby
asked,
girl
is
was
this
born.
show public? I don't know whether it's public. Yeah, it looks like it has a public thing. Just nobody watches it, Richie. It's public, yeah, but I mean, it's the Beamish, right? So I'm sorry, Ben. Didn't mean to interrupt. September, baby. So, and are your kids, are they born around this time of year? Anyway, it's just interesting. I've never heard of anybody born right around Christmas. So
Yeah, well, my baby girl, she was born like January 4th, so
coming up pretty close.
gotta have another celebration in about a week's time after Christmas. So
All right, so you do have
yeah.
birthdays and Christmases and stuff intermingled. So actually, you
Yeah.
can empathize with Derek to a certain degree, eh?
Yeah, and my dad was born Christmas Eve, so that's
Oh,
always
there
fun.
you go. Score.
Okay.
All right. So welcome everybody, and welcome Nick, welcome Ben. Kind of an odd start. I don't know how the hell I'm supposed to be starting these things, and I think actually we get a few views through the week. Actually, I was kind of surprised. So you do have, yeah, I guess that's me right there. Hey, hey, at least we have Nick over on YouTube chit-chatting away, so that's totally awesome. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Keeping people in line over there. Totally cool. But I really like just to checking in with you guys, because you guys are so much smarter when it comes to crypto than I am. I mean, I can, manage money, I suppose, and interpret a price chart, but that's about as far as it goes with regard to the technology for me. So I love these shows to check in with our resident, students sort of working through the program. Hey, Derek so I guess that makes sense. Derek just finished the program. I think he's written his final exam. He was in our secret options formula club meeting last night, so he's getting settled into that club. So, but I suppose Nick and Ben are working their way through. How are the exams going? Have you guys written?
Easy peasy.
Good. All right. So, Ben, can you answer with as much confidence?
I'm yet to sit mine. I'm really trying to just get the most out of it and
You're trying to get the
notes
most out of it. All right,
Yeah.
good.
before I sit it, but I'm a procrastinator, so
All right, well, good luck,
I'll get it
and
done.
just go at your own pace. Just like
I mean,
karma.
the one thing I kind of appreciate about the exams are it's not really meant to fail you. It's just kind of meant that you've paid attention and you've like reviewed all the material.
Yeah,
As long as you've done that, you should be able to get through it.
right. I mean, if anything, I think it's a good testament to the journaling, because if you just journaled through the course and just came to the weekly sessions and wrote the little mini quizzes, and just kept writing them until you pass. I think it's pretty slam dunk that you pass. If anything, I'm not as kind in the level 3 program. I actually make you work a little bit more. So get ready for that. But yeah, I think that's an excellent point, Nick. Is really it's just a question of now the level 2 exam. I mean, that's pretty thick. Especially when we get into really understanding the way the commitments of traders reports work, and Mr. Gann and all his wonderfulness.
I agree with that, but having it be like essentially an open book, open notes test, as long as I went through and I made sure I could 100% all the quizzes the day before I took it, and then I just took it the next day. And
yeah, good. All right, and really, Ben, that's probably a great sort of suggestion for you. So good luck, fingers crossed. I'm sure you'll do fine. It's kind of interesting market state we're in right now, eh? If anything, we've actually built out this beautiful platform. I think we have it to the point where we have a basic subscription package that I think the marketing team is just going to have a field day marketing going forward. If anything, I think it's going to be my job over the next sort of 4 or 5 months just to explain all this stuff. And actually, what's really cool is I don't know whether I'll do it here. Maybe I'll do it while the boys are talking to you about names. But I can actually show you what my 1980s website that I wrote like 20 years ago. It's probably about that long ago. What it looks like with the Wayback Machine. And this is actually starting to look almost exactly the same. But the good part about it, of course, is this is scalable. It's programmed the right way. I mean, maybe the React charting and modules is maybe we can update that as we go forward. But the data is correct, and that's the most important thing. But and of course for this particular show, we're not even too interested in all this stuff. That's okay boomer crap. We want to concentrate on this part of the market and crypto. And also, too, what I wouldn't mind taking a look at, I was kind of interested to see that Sjord's got all my basic screeners up and running, so I wouldn't even mind, just taking a boo at what the market's trying to tell us crypto-wise. And just some fantastic information here. Just beautiful. I mean, we also do Europe and Asia and Canada and the U.S. stock market. But for the purposes of tonight, I want to concentrate on crypto. So I actually think there's a lot to talk about off of this page. Also, too, I like sort of getting a directional feed for where the market's taking us off of things like the leaderboard. So actually, if we just pop back on over there. I'm just curious as to, I thought this was interesting, AVAX. I think that's DeFi, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a smart contract platform. It's a competitor to Ethereum or Binance or Binance Smart Chain or Solana.
How about these Luna guys? I think Luna's they're kind of, would you consider them in the same sort of class as that AVAX?
Yeah, so they're a smart contract platform as well. I think they seem to specialize more in the DeFi space than some other smart contract platforms, but that could just be partially because the first few really well-known protocols that were built on Luna are all DeFi protocols.
Mm-hmm. How about I just find it interesting, something like Atom. Isn't that Atom? Aren't you kind of interested in that one? Wasn't that one that you were especially interested in?
Yeah, I think, honestly, the token, I don't really think itself has a ton of reasons to own it right now. But I'm really bullish on that ecosystem and the different dApps being built on there.
That what's that?
That's Uniswap.
And is that DeFi?
Yep. So that's on Ethereum. And they're just releasing on Polygon too, I think. but it's essentially just a swapping. It's a decentralized exchange. Probably the most known one.
So, and I thought it was interesting, Sjord's universe is just huge. You notice that all of these, there's probably a list. Like, this is probably the best rating that an issue can get, and there's probably just a ton of these. But it's fascinating how this system picks up AVEX versus TRY. What the hell's that? That's a Turkish lira. Remember the Turkish lira was going crazy the other day?
I was going to say, I think anything probably looks good against the Turkish
well,
lira
the interesting thing was these charts and like the system just went crazy because the system picks up highly volatile issues, right? And the system went crazy when it's all the Turkish lira. And I was like, what the heck is going on? And of course, the Turkish lira is collapsing.
I do wonder if there's 7 different criteria that go into that rating, because I'm pretty sure 0.8571 is 6/7.
Oh, interesting. I never thought of that. This should be based on the DI, right? And actually, you look at any of these. I don't know whether this is going to load. No, it doesn't load here. Where do we have that? Like, if I look at my screeners, I think, like, if I come over here. Oh, no. Okay, so it's defaulted. Actually, it's interesting. This is one of the things we have to work out is how does the system sort of default the indicators that are on your screen? Because actually, for the longest time, it looks like the system has told itself to default to one of the screener criteria, one of the screeners I'm using with RSI. But when I do the daily brief with you guys in the mornings, it usually defaults to... actually, I don't want to lose that. But you remember when I come in here and we do just the screen of the overview and we look at who's sort of leading the market, it usually defaults to my DI. So I wonder if all the, it looks like the indicator, something told the system to change the indicator settings. So what I would have shown you if it was this morning, clearly there's something that's shifting there. But when I... maybe nope. It's on all of them. It's all shifted this. When I talk to you guys usually, and if I can find any of the charts from previous, the DI will give a reading, and that's based on about 15 different criteria. Like, you've finished the level 2, right? Like, you're writing the level 2 exam.
Yep. Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah. So, and then that has 45 criteria because it's 3 different time frames, and then the everything's going to get a weighting based on what the relationship is between the indicator and then the moving averages. If it's above the 13 period moving average, is above the 30 period moving average, and then if the 13 period moving average is above the 30 period moving average, that kind of stuff. That's how the weighting is done. Probably, like I said, that's one of the videos I'm going to have to do. It's just kind of funny how you caught me flat-footed there. And isn't this always how these things go? That as soon as you go live or something, somebody asks you a question, I want to show you something, and I don't know how the fuck to get it on the screen. So my apologies there. So, still some work to do.
I mean, just even having some of these top 5s, bottom 5s, bullish key reversals, bearish key reversals, it's just so nice to narrow down your universe of things you're looking at.
Well, what I really like about this, and probably the crypto shows it, is you get I think you kind of heard me this morning kind of going a little apeshit this morning on the bullish side, eh? I don't know whether you guys watched the daily brief this morning. We were talking about some names, and Brian when I go up an octave when we're doing the show, then hey, this guy's getting excited. And you see some of these names like this OMG, I was just like, oh, what does this look like? And you go, son of a gun, look at that. I mean, that to me, when I see that, that's basically what technical analysis is for.
Well, and I think that's kind of finally that cool off, because if you remember back a month or two ago, it had a really big run up because people were expecting an airdrop.
Yeah,
and then as
that's
soon as
entirely
that
what
launched,
the-
it just went poof. And,
That's what this whole rally was all about.
Yeah.
And then literally, this is, if anything, this is the most beautiful. Buy the rumor, sell the news. I mean, you literally couldn't get any better than that. But you look at it, so literally now we're back at the original double bottom level. So ironically enough, you know, this is the whole thing. We always say, don't chase, don't chase, don't chase. Because look at that. It's coming literally right back down to the original bottom. Boom. And then all the indicators are all starting to turn back up and momentum starting to turn. And, you know, like I said, I mean, this is the reason why we do technical analysis to begin with, is just to simply try and identify these windows. So, I'm tickled pink by the platform, and like I said, there's just this one simple subscription. You just get all this presented to you on a daily basis, and you can see as the signals are coming in. Actually, I even tweeted out. I mean, I'm so, I got to tell you, this shit's next level, and probably my hunch is that the end result of all this is TRI is going to be bought out for like $100 million, $200 million, $500 million or whatever down the road by some major house. I mean, that's how significant this thing is that Fjord has built. Now, we either take the ridiculous bucket load of money, or we just run the subscription business. I think I could sit here and do daily videos and sell 1,000 people to sign up for this thing at $100 a month. You do the math. I mean, that's we're talking some money here. All the people that were on the site, and I think what I'm going to do is I wanted to onboard as many people that are site members, and since there's really not that many people that watch these videos, and it's primarily just the site members who are watching the videos now, I'd like to get you guys just on board and just, you know, have the dashboard so I can talk to you guys in the morning. Everybody has the same sort of setup. I think there's about 20 or 30 people that have taken advantage of Fjord's offer there. He's already put it all together, and we showed you on Monday's Daily Brief how to do all that. I'd just like you to get it done. Because I tell you, once we turn this over to Josh in the marketing department, that ridiculously stupid low price that we told you about is gone. So you might as well just get it done now. Just get it on. I want just a big chunk of you that are on and that have this thing just in your back pocket. And so when I talk to you about all the signals, you can just follow along and do exactly this, what I want you to see. Remember, like, I thought it was really interesting, and this is sort of a side of how you can use this, is we have just a massive redundancy of signals, whether it be things like leaderboards that, this happens to be exchange traded funds, but we have leaderboards for different parts of the market, whether it be actually signaling systems. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Q reversals. We are getting just a ridiculous amount of buy signals coming in from the telecommunications sector. I mean, is anybody in the public talking about this right now? The buy signals are coming in all over the place. And then you sort of ask yourself, well, what's going on? Why is this happening? And of course, if we start sort of putting the pieces together, we go, oh, well, actually, it turns out they're rolling out 5G now. And so you can just see the whole market is getting ready. And then probably in 6-8 months, when all these stocks have all been bid up and everything's rocking and rolling, we are going to get 5G out the... I'm going to be hearing Ben complaining about all the damn 5G advertising. And how wonderful your life is if you just have a little more 5G in it. I don't know. Anyway, so it's fascinating to see how the system, and this is exactly how capitalism works. Do institutions buy up markets or do they buy down markets? Is anybody talking about the telecom sector right now? Not really. I mean, back in the .com days, all these telecom stocks, it's just everything. In fact, the biggest stock in the Toronto Stock Exchange was a company called Nortel Networks, and the one company alone made up 35% of the Canadian stock market. One company. That's not supposed to happen. Isn't that what they call a monopoly? So anyway, nobody's talking about this stuff. System's telling us, hey, pay attention, especially, and this is my bread and butter. I mean, I learned this forever ago. It's a very powerful signaling system. Now, whether you decide to actually step in on the long side on a name that looks like this, that's here and there. I'm going to leave that up to you. Sometimes the hardest thing to do is actually to buy into strength. But nonetheless, find it fascinating. There's a great example of a key reversal signal. This is actually pointing that the market wants to go higher here. And I thought it was interesting because actually I even found a name and I was kind of like, Jameson Wellness. What the hell is this? You know, these are these vitamin stores and stuff like this. And this is the exact opposite scenario. This is a bearish key reversal. Look at the beautiful momentum failure here. And look at that. I mean, boom. This thing just crapped out today. So, and really my question to people is, would you like to have this kind of list in your email first thing in the morning every day? And I think, you know, especially for all you current members, for the amount of money that we're asking you just to click the add-on button and just build out this database so we can see how this whole thing operates, I think it's a good idea. So just do it and make the old man happy. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. So, an interesting look. Canadian bank stocks spitting out key reversals. I think I've told you guys what I think about the Canadian banking industry right now. But we're not supposed to be talking about that right now. We're supposed to be talking crypto. So, let's get back to
So, speaking of a couple that you found, you mentioned OMG. You were almost pounding the table today on Aave.
Yeah, that was another one. I think I saw it in here.
Yeah, it was in here. That and I think Chainlink you were talking about.
Oh, that link chart. Oh my goodness, it's so pretty. I mean, I don't know if you want me to waste time. I mean, remember we did this in the in the daily brief. I must have spent an hour going on about all this stuff, eh?
I think it's a good example to show again though, because it was one of those that it came up on the screeners and they look exactly like the type of things that we'd buy at TRI.
Yeah. I will say, somebody mentioned this one in the lounge. Be careful on something like this. You know, you might be like looking at it in the short term and going, hey, that looks like it's about to bottom. That's railroad tracks here. But I pulled up something like this. This is actually pretty dangerous because look where value actually is. You notice there's a big hole here. And, you know, we got the man himself on the show here tonight, but hopefully you can see what's probably going to happen here, eh? So I did see some people. So, you know, be careful. Be darn careful. This isn't just go and just blindly throw money at the market, right? There's a lot of this. We actually talked about it in the video today, where what we really want to see here, guys, is we really want to see like a saucer bottom kind of thing, right? And actually, the longer it is, and actually the shallower the actual pan is, I think the better. So I'm a little bit leery. I do see a lot of names that people are like, okay, you know what? Oh, we're over here. But just, you know, give this some time, right? I remember a few years ago, in fact, actually it was the winter of 2016. There was a site member, Kevin, Kavarkanator. I sure hope he's doing well in this world. He and I were sitting in the lounge and hunting names that were kind of doing this all through this. And I remember I was jilted by this girl that I thought liked me on Valentine's Day. So we're sitting there and I was in the lounge crying in my beer. You know, this is like, what, 5 years ago now? Jesus. Anyway, the point is that the charts almost looked identical to this. So I just think that, you know, I'm just worried that a lot of, you know, if anything, I kind of noticed this in crypto. Like I kind of put out tweets and stuff recently saying, yeah, it looks like, you know, the Bulls trying to win the RSI battle here and all that kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden, you could feel it. Just this whole over the top, insane crypto enthusiasm bull. Just everybody just went absolutely apeshit bullish. Actually, I was even surprised when I noticed, like this many likes on one of my tweets. Remember, I'm not that, I don't do the circle jerk sort of social media kind of thing, say something that everybody wants to hear, and so you're going to get 5 million likes and retweets and stuff like that. I don't like to play that game. So actually, when I see that many sort of reactions to a tweet, I go, ooh, that's got to tell me something. I think there are a lot of people that really wanted this thing to rally. The problem that I have with this, of course, is that let's get since we already picked on Ben there, maybe Nick can help us. Would Brian consider that a good idea to go in and buy that trendline break there on its own?
Nope. You want to wait for that W.
And this is the sucker part of this. I hate it, right? Is that, people are going to go, but wait a minute, there is a big fucking W right there. What the hell, man? Quit complaining. And yet I've seen this happen so many times. We come busting out the other side, and then it'll come back, and it has to ride along this trend line from the other side. And then if it puts in a W, rock and roll. But if it doesn't, sometimes this can get really ugly and really painful. So I'm a little worried that if we actually look at the market right now, you notice that there is the trend line break, and now we're just precariously holding on here by a thread, eh? I mean, it's great that we're able to bust out of this range, because that range was just bugging me to no end. But you can see how we broke out through the trend line. The market reached, and now it's just sort of can you see how it's kind of getting a little bit winded here? And that's a bit dangerous right there, It's incumbent on the bull. The bull has got to step up, and really, ideally, you'd love to get some structure in here, right? That would be best. Show us some fight here. And then we could do foggy boggies off of these little W's to project levels up top here. But you can see this actually could turn into, what's this 3-bar pattern called if this thing dips all the way right back down into these lows here. And actually you just did the level 1, so you need to know what this is.
This Empire, yeah?
Yeah, that's right. Dun, 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 dun. So keep in mind, we say look left. This was just straight up here. There's nothing holding the market up here. Nothing. Don't kid yourself, people. So if we start to slip, there's no reason why we can't come all the way right back down into something like that. Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen. All I'm just saying is it's definitely out there. And if we actually put in a tail that basically is down in that same area, then this is actually what's called an empire, because this looks like the Empire State's Building. And that, unfortunately, is a 3-bar fractal sell signal. If that comes in, and then the next candle over here, we go through that low, then that's actually an outright sell signal. So we're nowhere near that, so we don't have to worry about any of that right now. And if anything, I'm still sort of optimistic. Hey, are we going to actually, structurally base here and take off to the upside? That's what I'd really like to see. So fingers crossed here. Now, actually, I've kind of screwed up the cadence of tonight's show. Aren't we? I think I'm supposed to, a spreadsheet. I'm supposed to declare who was the smarty smart of the group and predicted what the hell was going to happen, because of course we're in the business of crystal ball reading, right?
I mean, I personally find part of the fun is just to see where we're going to end up on the show. we don't always take the path that's been used the most, and I think that can be some of the more interesting times.
Okay, so is this tonight? Is it the 22nd of December?
Yep, that's where we were at the start of the show.
This is such a bizarre Christmas, isn't it? Doesn't it feel like so really weird? It just doesn't even feel like Christmas is even here. It's so bizarre. I don't know. I suppose, how's it Christmas in a B&B? Are you allowed to decorate the place and stuff?
No, I mean, all of our stuff's in storage, so we don't even have our lights or anything. My parents live like an hour away from us now, and they're like, we can like drive down like a little like 6-inch tall ceramic tree or something if you want. I was like, no, that's fine.
How's Christmas in Florida these days? Is there much change?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's actually pretty chilly at the moment. So
oh, really?
It's feeling a bit like Christmas at the moment.
Oh, there you go.
There you
go. All right. Okay, so the Great Predictor, I guess, was basically unchanged. What do you think? Is that a good call?
Yep, absolutely. I mean, we're what 1 to 1.5% down.
Yeah. So I guess the only one who's in the doghouse this week is Derek. So maybe that's why he decided not to come.
Yeah, Derek and Chris didn't come back. So
I wish Chris, I think Chris got evicted. He had on a large leverage long position, depending on the market moving up. So
that was fun having Chris on the show, though.
Yeah, it sure was. He's a great guy, isn't he?
Yeah.
I gotta say. Sorry.
I said it was good to see him on there.
I
tuned in. Yeah.
These people that end up at TRI, they're really good people. You're really good people. Very rarely do I ever run into anybody that I go, gee whiz, you're not a TRIer. You guys are such good spirits. Quality people indeed. Yeah. So and actually, you can. Chris basically drives the bus Monday to Friday on the daily briefs, and actually, speaking of which, how's been the? Oh God, I'm gonna get it wrong again. Total network TN
TVL total
TVL
value locked.
There we go, total value of the L, whatever. What's L? Locked. There you go, total value locked. All right, Brian the idiot. So and have you guys been watching that? I think I heard that Luna beat out Binance chain or something in that stuff today, didn't they?
Yeah, that is actually pretty incredible in my mind, because you have how many hundreds of applications on Binance. You have a fraction of the amount on Luna, and it's taken over. So I mean, it's like great job to that ecosystem. It's got a ton of support right now.
And it's all and it's all decentralized, whereas Binance is centralized, right?
Yeah, I mean, their BSC is supposed to be decentralized, but yeah, I have my doubts whether it actually is. But there's the Binance itself, which is centralized, completely centralized.
Yeah. Hats off to Mr. Kwan, and obviously anybody who's long Luna is feeling rather jovial these days.
I will say, I don't know how many people know. I mean, if you're big on Luna, you probably know this, but one of the reasons they've spiked so much is because Doe and Danny have been talking and partnering, and they've created an incredible amount of UST through one of the products that the Spell protocol has.
Right. Frankly speaking, the whole thing has me slightly concerned. Obviously they always say, right? Well, not obviously, but they always say, how does it go? The path to hell is laid with best intentions.
Paved with good intentions.
Right. And I appreciate that these gentlemen really, they want to do what's right. They want to do the best thing. I'm a little concerned about their complete irreverence for the system. And I was even seeing more messages tonight, like, we're just moving forward. We don't even really care, what they think kind of idea. This is getting a little scary. I really don't like the tone of all this. One thing that kind of bothered me is that I did like the idea that there was a very concerted effort to get the UST to, I guess, $10 billion, is it? Right, and I guess they hit that objective today, didn't they? So,
yeah, today or yesterday or something.
Right. So, and I suppose we can look at a price chart. What I'm worried about, of course, is that this, to me, technically speaking, this was the end of a move. This is actually a very typical harmonic pattern for me. And I guess the interesting thing is, I was watching a I guess it was really cool piece somebody did on YouTube. I retweeted it on Price Channels and using the channel tool. And actually, I haven't used the channel tool and pitchforks and shifts pitchforks. I haven't used that stuff in literally decades, which is shocking that I can even say something like that. But I had a lot of fun recently, in the past week or so, going down the price, because I love drawing price channels. You see them all over my charts. And then for some reason, I went down and was looking at the Andrews pitchforks and the modified pitchforks. There's some videos on YouTube, and actually somebody clued into the fact that actually I can draw my fun channels that I love and all of my analysis using the shifts pitchforks and so modified pitchforks. And of course I was absolutely elated. But what it really spoke to, and the guy who was doing the video, you can go on my Twitter feed and find the video. What the guy said was, this is all about people who respect market geometry. And I guess I really clued in that that's really my hallmark. I'm a geometry major. I think that's the end result. And this in itself is actually a very typical geometric pattern, although I don't think that that's drawn correctly. See, nope, it isn't. That's what I thought. So put that away. And you can see this. This is what's called an ABCD harmonic pattern. And ironically enough, actually, this level up here is what's called, to harmonic traders, a PRZ. And PRZ stands for potential reversal zone. Guys like Scott Carney. He loves this stuff. He lives for this stuff, right? And actually, there's quite a few traders on TRI that we have a harmonics room. Actually, I suppose you'll be introduced to harmonics. Are you planning on moving on to the level 3, Nick?
I am. Who is Scott Carney at TRI?
He's not at TRI. He loves harmonics. So we'll introduce you to Scott Carney.
Oh, okay. No, I've read some Scott Carney books, but I guarantee it's a completely different person. Has nothing to do with trading.
Scott Carney's and it's we don't need to get into it too far down his rabbit hole, but in fact, anybody who's on the site, we have lots of his resources in the library. So if you want to, and you're on the site, you can just pop in. Let's see, where the hell's the website? Here it is. You can just pop in a library. We have tons of videos on harmonics. I think third-party instructional. Harmonics, the Cipher, harmonic trading. There's Scott Carney's YouTube page. So he's a big fan of harmonics. The easy way to remember Scott Carney is he has the same smile as W.D. Gann. Can you see that? So, and I think, to be perfectly honest with you, I think he did this on purpose. Honestly, I think this is his shtick. And he wants to, psychologically, he wants to, because if you ever see a picture of W.D. Gann, he basically has exactly the same facial expression. So I don't know whether, Ben, you're planning on moving on to the level 2 program, but you'll get to know Mr. Gann in level 2. And Nick, you'll get to know Mr. Carney briefly. I just basically introduce you. If you want to go hang out with Mr. Carney, awesome. A lot of our harmonic fans on the site, they like Scott. But it actually, something that was really cool recently It's really spoke to what TRI is all about. And it was such a great commentary. It was so cool. We have a chat room, chat service called Rocket Chat on the website, and we have like literally communities. So we have a harmonics room in here on the site, and these guys, they just can you guys see my screen? I don't know what I'm showing on YouTube. I don't know if this works or not. These guys, they just literally live harmonics 24/7. That's all they do. And it's just their life. And it's beautiful coming in here. I mean, look at the work that they do. They just do some fantastic work. This is actually a pattern that I heard was they were actually the exact opposite pattern. They were chattering about in Bitcoin social media. But, I mean, it's just beautiful the work that these guys do. These guys are just insanely cool. Anyway, so it just goes to show. I mean, hell, we've got rooms in here. These are our astrologers, and they sit there, and all they do is they trade off of WD Gannon astrology. That's all they do. It's so cool. I swear, this site has really turned into a fantastic organism. It's beautiful. It really is. So anyway, the point I just wanted to make was if you do decide to go down the harmonic rabbit hole, oh boy, we got lots of fun. And the great part about it is that all of those guys in the harmonic room, they all have their own style. Steven has his own style. Igor has his own style. Hafed has his own style. Scott has his own style. He trades on his own. And that's what I meant earlier when I said, what is TRI? It's all about setting the table for you, letting you see what the name of these utensils are and how you're supposed to historically use them. I'll show you how Brian eats his steak with a shrimp fork, because hell, that's the way I like to do it. But really, ultimately, the goal here is just to get you to the point where you go, you know what? I'm going to use butter knife for my steak, because that's the way I roll. And that's exactly what I want. Is I want you to be introduced to all these tools, and then you to put your own personal spin on how to use all these, and understand that the process of trading, which is what we teach in sort of our level 1 program. What do you think, Ben? Do you get the idea of the process?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been, for me, not just for trading. I think it's like a philosophy that you can apply to any area in life. You're not just getting the tools of the setup, but you're learning, okay, how do I make sure that my behavior aligns with where I want to go, and tying those two together. I think it's just like, it's incredible. So yeah, it's good stuff.
It's shocking how applicable the process is to all the other shit in your life too, eh? Really is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It really just, it's trying to teach you how to be a good human, that's all. So, but anyway, everything in moderation, right? Didn't your mother always say that when you were a kid? Everything in moderation. I mean, that's basically what half of the process is all about. So anyway, point here is I want to set the table, give you a whole bunch of fun tools to use. You decide within the framework of the process which tools you're going to use, and then get out there and just rock the market. So anyway, wow, holy tangent there. Sorry, everybody. Where was I? Where did I start that conversation off with? Can somebody remind me?
It went a long ways.
I think actually we were talking about Luna topping out there. Yeah. So, that's where we started this off. That's right. So the problem that I have with this is that this is the end of a move. So, getting all excited on the long side up here, if anything's just asking for trouble. I mean, just asking for trouble. And interestingly enough, whether you think of it as an opportunity to buy, or you're just trying to figure out whether the uptrend is still going on. I think one of our simple tools that we teach you in the program, called what I like to call the first stop target, this 38.2 fib, I think actually that's not a bad reference. And then actually one of our students, alumni, and now of course, actually probably quite crypto internet famous now with his association with Danny in Time, right? Colin, he's famous, I suppose, on the site for sort of labeling the 38.2 to 50% level as sort of a maybe I'm going to buy, but I don't want to chase. I'm going to try and buy on pullbacks. The pump chaser zone. So in a weird sort of way, you can see here's Colin just sort of waiting patiently. And my apologies, Colin. I hope you don't feel awkward me calling you out there. There's, in fact, here's Ben just sitting there waiting patiently for his level. I don't know how you spell Benkoff. I'm going to assume that that's how you spell your last name. Ben Koff? Is that your last name? Koff? Anyway, so, and then, this is interesting. I don't know whether you've been introduced to this guy or not before. Anybody who's sort of new watching this video, here's a new person you've never been introduced to before. But his name is Johnny Hoagland. And Johnny Hoagland, he sits up at the top of value. And he believes that actually this market is a bull until we accept back into value. And if we accept back into value, we probably got to go all the way back down to value low. But in the short term, hell, I can see 3 very realistic reasons that even if you were interested up here, actually 4 really, but if you were interested and you were like, oh my God, this Do Kwon guy, man, he walks on water, blah, blah, blah. I mean, really, you would be best served to just cool your jets and wait for a better trade location. So, not really a big surprise to see what's happening here. We're going to even go AB equals CD. Now, the one thing that did surprise me is you'll notice that the top here, on this, and this is versus USD, so this is kind of a manufactured number. Would probably be best to actually go like USDT, but nonetheless it's the same logic. You can see there's 38.2. Here is, and I gotta tell you folks, I mean, this is, I used to be a professional crude oil trader. I mean, that's what I used to do. I actually was hired by a prop firm, go trade our money. And this is basically the pattern that I used to trade in the crude oil market. Although, oh yeah, it looks like these are a little bit off. Yeah, well, that's roughly right. So somewhere in that area there. I would, just we'll put that away for now, right? Just buy the 25 level. I'm going to move my stop to scratch on this 50% of the anticipated move. I'm going to start locking in profits at 66% of the move. So you can see, this is what I was telling people on the site today. So on this event, boom, lock in your profits right underneath there. And you have actually here, you have actually what's called an AOCO order. And actually it was interesting. I saw an article recently where a guy was losing a ton of money because he had built an algo and he figured that Wall Street had screwed him over. I can't remember where I saw it. And actually it turns out that the guy built the algo and he was using the wrong order type. And so when he entered his order, he was actually entering in an order for it to do something completely different than what he thought he was doing. So it's pretty important for you to make sure you have your order types right. So AOCO basically stands for automatically order cancels order. But in this, it's at this point, if I was long, I'd have my AOCO order working. And if I was filled here on the sell side, it would kill that stop loss order. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. So, point of the matter here is the professionals are actually getting out through here. I mean, this is so cliche, folks. Now, what's the one thing that would sort of tell you that, you know what, this is probably a top? Because we definitely know Mr. Carney. Oh, did I get rid of that? Anyway, remember PRZ up here and Mr. Carney. This is a potential reversal zone. This is actually a level that there's going to be people that are going to seriously want to go short here. So if this is a valid trade location, what are the other things that maybe we want to be looking for? I don't know, guys. You know how that 3-step setup stuff goes? If we have trade location, what do we want to think about next?
Momentum. Divergences.
Well, how about just simply indicators? Or do we have like an indicator confirmation? Something that just sort of says, you know, this thing's not nearly as strong or weak as you think it is. So if we just pull up our momentum indicators, do we have sign of divergence here? And as we're coming into Mr. Carney's level, notice that the momentum indicator actually stalling out here. So you can see there's a high there in the MACD, and we never even got close to that, even though price was pushing higher, pushing higher, pushing higher. And then all of a sudden on this event, you can just see it just puked out. Uh-oh, that's a big M. Watch out, careful. So hopefully you can see, there's the M, there's the puke out right there. And unfortunately, I think this one was tricky. And unfortunately, I think what's happening here is they took the market a little too far, and they're going to really punish the kids here, which sucks. But, you know, that's what these trader guys do sometimes. I think this market went a little too far. And, you know, there's our most recent key support. And actually what I see here, and it kind of bothers me, and I posted this earlier, there's our PRZ level. Remember, what did we say this 3-bar pattern was? There, there, there. Can you see that? Then we go like so, right along there. Boosh. What does that look like? You guys are American, right? So does
Canadian
that look
Maple
like
Leaf.
the Empire State's Building to you?
Yeah, or a maple leaf.
Yeah, or maple leaf, yeah. Snowflakes, I suppose, being festive and all that. So if that's the case, then what this really means is we go, this is the market structure. You've already got momentum broken. This is the mar where momentum actually breaks down. You have this small consolidation. This is an ugly, ugly low, right? You got that deep low. I think you can work the clotheslines, but, you know, just eyeballing this, working the clotheslines. Let's go like that, and then let's get rid of that. And go like that, and then we'll go there to there. So clone that there. Oh, fudge. That didn't work. Yeah, there we go. So there to there, there to there. So that came down into this level. Then notice, did something happen next? I mean, this is vicious what these guys are doing. Because what should have happened here was there should have been like a dead cat bounce back up top. And the rally was just completely muted. So do you see how this is making now another fractal? So here to here to here. I mean, this is just nasty. I don't know whether we want to go off of the clotheslines or not. Do we use that tail? That's a tough one. I mean, maybe we're coming down into there. One thing that I maybe was thinking was that this was angled. Although I tell you, David O has made me get religion about using angled head and shoulders as lately.
I was just going to mention that I feel like David would not have been fine with this.
But nonetheless, I think that this is working. And if that's the case, what this is saying is now it looks like we're going to be going all the way back down to here, which sucks. The issue here is where do you measure this? And I would measure it from there. So that basically is going to take us back down. Remember I'd said your original stop loss on this blow off top move was right here. So I actually think that that's key support. And remember what I had said there earlier about Mr. Hoagland. So if we line up the profile, there's the bottom end of the range, there's the top end of the range. What did I say was going to happen if we accepted back into value high here? Well,
You
there's
go
Mr.
all the
Hoagland.
way to through value.
And actually, I don't know whether, Ben, you may not know this yet, but Mr. Hoagland, he would suggest that there's actually, this head and shoulders top, the fractal failure here, I think, is the market accepting back into value. So if that's the case, and then we said, first off, we want to do things like 38.2s. So there's 38.2. Interesting how we did tag that and bounce off of that. There's Colin. That's sort of him sitting in the middle of the value range. But Mr. Hoagland would suggest that actually 80% of the time, if we accept back into value, that's accepting into there, we should go down and tag value low. 80%. That's a big number.
Question about that. So, like, the original, I think, setup was that it was more from a day trading perspective, and it was 2 consecutive 30-minute bars. Does that translate to any time frame?
Well, more importantly, and this is kind of like WD GAN, and this is the way I like to look at the market, is what I'm doing is I'm studying a distribution of volume and price action over a range. So it's really the trading range and the distribution of where people's interest is given the range that actually dictates. To me, it doesn't matter whether it's a 30-minute chart, 1-minute chart, 5-day chart, 1-month chart. What I really want to do is I want to ask, what is the trading range? I mean, hopefully what you see here is you kind of go, if we sort of dissect this range a certain bit, right? We said that, Colin pump chaser zone, 38.2, first stop target, Wyckoff check. Unfortunately, it doesn't really align with the volume profile here, so it doesn't leave me with a lot of confidence that this is going to hold. So what might else be going on here? Well, what is actually our default? Remember, this is just asking whether the bull is still alive. And I get the feeling that we had the big fundamental event, right? He got his $10 billion UST. And that's what I think this whole push was for. Also, too, there were harmonic patterns. This was basically a runaway train into this event. Now that's done. And now I hear, next stop is 100 billion. They're like, Jesus. I'm sure people are exhausted following this, and the market's got to take a bit of a break. So, with that in mind, I think that this is going to fail. So, what would it be that would be more logical, I think, is, well, if we're going to reload, where would we likely to reload? Now, this is starting to make sense. Right? Where, there's a good old mountain man, him, $75. I mean, the irony of it all, a week ago, we would all be happy with $75 on Luna. Just park yourself there. Everybody's happy. So I definitely think that that's in play. That's against this kilo, that kilo, that kilo, that kilo, that kilo, this key high. So clearly there's going to be a battle right on that. That is the POC. Could we have some sort of, like it consolidates down into here and then you have like a 1-day zing zing, just an FU and that satisfies Mr. Hoagland? Could be. That wouldn't surprise me one bit. So, actually looking at that kind of price chart, that actually looks very normal to me. That looks like that's what's supposed to happen. So anyway, but that's from a technician's point of view. Sierra to sit here and say, well, fundamentally I couldn't give a rat's ass. The thing's going higher, so I'm just going to buy it. Okay.
There's actually an example that this reminds me a lot of Spell. Because do you mind bringing up the Spell chart real quick?
Man, is that the time?
So Spell is different from time, but it's a different Danny coin.
Okay, well, what symbol should I put in here? I always get this wrong.
It's just Spell.
Spell. I noticed that. And which one do you want me to look at?
You can do the FTX one. It won't have the full history, but it'll have enough. So, and then maybe go back to like a daily or something so you can get the last high at like 4 cents or so. Yeah. So there was a lot more history to the left of this, but that's fine. It was building up like Luna was. And then right at that top, that exact day is when I think, or it was the day before, when they actually passed DAI's, the maker, which is the protocol that creates DAI. That's the MIM's main competitor, the Danny stablecoin. The day or the day before they got to that high, they passed the market cap of Maker, which is that was their target, their goal.
Right.
And then the next day, Danny said, okay, screw Maker, we're going after USDC now, which was another 10x, which is the exact same thing. And you can see what happened to Spell.
Yeah, okay, so perfect.
It was the exact same story.
Yep. And also, too, you can kind of see, like, you see my cockeyed head and shoulders here? So if I go like this.
Yeah, there was not much of a counter rally there either.
Right, well, that's just it, right? And like Bitcoin, when it broke down in, geez, you can barely see it there. When Bitcoin broke down in 2018, right, it was just straight up and then just a massive grind back down to earth. Doesn't mean that this thing isn't killer and it's fucking the next best thing since sliced bread. It's just, is it a good idea to go in and buy when they're all going ape shit like that? And I think the answer, unfortunately, has to be no. So, interesting aside. One thing I was kind of curious, and actually I wanted to pick your brain about, was that time. Of course, I never type in the damn symbol correctly. Can I even see this thing correctly on TradingView just the way it is here?
Yeah, let me.
That pangolin thing?
I'll paste it in. Yeah, because the only pangolin, the reason you have to do this weird formula is because the pangolin chart is actually looking at, for some reason, AVAX in terms of time, where most times you want to, if you're looking at time, you want to have that be first, not second on the list. So,
and I think I have to tattoo this on my forehead. But
yeah, then just hit enter.
There's the magic symbol. All right, so actually, oh geez, another pretty good. See, here's another cockeyed head and shoulders. I mean, these things do come out. I'll convert David one of these days. So, I don't know whether we can use something like that. I mean, I don't have a problem with that, and I would just simply say here to here. And then, just that's very rough. And then, oops. There to there. So that, to me, that actually projected down into here. Clearly it went quite a bit further. Maybe if we looked at it on a log scale, it might be a little bit cleaner. No, that makes it even worse. Anyway. So I wanted to ask you guys, how are things going with these people? Do they still, is this price action at all being reflected? Like, this is Danny, right? And are they still as enthusiastic and rah as ever?
So I would say with Spell and Ice, which I would say are his two main protocols, yes. I'm still incredibly bullish on both of those. I think they're doing just incredible things. They're releasing awesome products every other day, seemingly. Time is a little different. Time is more of an experimental protocol. And the original one of these was Olympus, which Ben had talked about a couple weeks ago. And it has just an incredible APY. And so if you actually held this for, let's say you bought at 10,000 right there at the top or whatever, 9,800. If you held this for a year, you would have 800 times the tokens you bought. So if you bought one time for 10 grand, you would now have 800 time. And so you really only need the price of it to be about 12 or 13 bucks to break even. And so I would expect that there will be an enormous amount of sell pressure on this over time. I'd still like to get back in if the chart starts to look bullish, but I'm worried that stuff like this might be tough to rely on pure technicals, just because of there's like a really weird, different fundamental supply that's constantly being added to this.
Yeah. Well, if anything, if the supply overwhelms demand, then it will reflect in the price chart. And we saw that last cycle. A lot of, I remember specific, I don't know whether it's even remotely similar, but when ADA rolled over, everybody was all so excited about the master nodes. I think that's basically the same technology. It's just been rewrapped. And the amount of annual percentage rate of return that you were getting paid on all of these master nodes. But the price all collapsed following cycle. So, I mean, just to, like, people don't envision an asset like this falling to like 1/1000th of the price that it was. But that happens all the time in this space. So just be forewarned there, folks. I thought this was their signature asset, and they were reliant on this thing to continue moving up, to sort of continue their funding and the building out of all of Danny's platform, but that's not the case.
So this especially doesn't really have a lot to do with his other protocols. You don't necessarily need to gain money from it to help fund his other stuff. His other stuff seems to be doing just great.
Okay.
But I will say Time does have an enormous treasury. It's something like, it's nearing on $1 billion. I want to say it's like 750 or $800 million. And they are essentially looking at transforming this almost into like a decentralized hedge fund, where they get returns from putting that money to work in DeFi, kind of some of the stuff that Sjord's doing, getting APY on a lot of the Luna products. And they're going to, I think, use some of this treasury to use it in Spell and Ice, the other protocols, to generate fees on those protocols that will help holders and stakers of those coins. So they do play together, but it's not necessary for the other two to thrive.
Okay.
Sorry, that was probably a lot of rambling. I'm sorry.
The easy way for you to know when this thing is a buy is just a nice big W on the other side of this trend line. So, probably what ends up happening here is, into new year. Remember I told you earlier that the bottom that I've noticed usually comes in spec, and actually you'd know this now because you're a gnarly commodities trader. When are you supposed to buy your unleaded gasoline? Well, I guess he's not that much of a gnarly commodities trader.
When your car's empty, I mean,
we did 2 modules on futures trading. You don't remember how that goes? Actually, you're going to get it up the butt to level 3 because you also were going to do trading seasonality there. So, anyway. I
mean, you'd want to buy it whenever the institutions are buying, or whenever the farmers are hedging against it.
Man, I was a commodities broker for many years, and to be a good commodities broker, really, you're just a glorified used car salesman. And you have to know these sales scripts down cold. And, have you ever seen the movie Wolf of Wall Street, where he goes into the sort of, I think it's like a New England brokerage house or something like that. And he sits down at the phone, and he picks up the phone, and he just goes into the script. You can just see that he just knows the script cold. All right, sir. I've come in from New York City. I'm on my way to a conference in Chicago, and I took the opportunity to stop into this satellite office to talk to a few high net worth clients and show them this financing deal that we're doing. It's a 3-year paper. looking to double our money in the next week. We get options and warrants and blah 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 blah. The whole script, right? And then he gets to the end of the script and he hangs. And the guy's like, "Yeah, sounds like a good deal. Where do I sign up?" And the guy's, "Okay, I'll meet you. I'll come and pick up the check." And everybody in the office is like, "Holy shit! How did he do that?" But it's just a script. That's all it is. It's you say the script so many times, you know it backwards. You can recite it in your sleep. So when I was a commodities broker, and it was the end of December, beginning of January, and we're sort of getting ready for our business for the coming year, the seasonal trade is to buy your unleaded gasoline the middle of February. And the seasonal trade, of course, is you want to buy while the wholesalers are loading up and the market is bid up. Think of the Benkoff process, of course, of capitalism. Ben, you know your capitalist markup process, correct, right? For all those people who don't know what and I don't know, should I waste the time and show people? I suppose that's kind of a loaded question if I ask it that way. I really should, where the hell is the web page? It's over here somewhere. There it is. In the library. Let's see. I think we have it in here. There we are. The Wyckoff market cycle. So this is basically how capitalism works. So through February, are there a lot of people driving their cars? Not really. So in fact, that's sort of the end of the worst sort of winter weather, and after February, March, when weather gets a little bit better. So actual refiners switch from producing heating oil in sort of mid-February to producing unleaded gasoline, and they start the process of not only refining the crude into gasoline, but then selling that gasoline to the wholesalers, then the wholesalers sell it to the retailers, then the retailers sell it to the public in the middle of May. That's when the official summer driving season kicks off. And kind of like what we were talking about with Luna earlier today, and what was the other issue that you made reference to? Was it? I can't remember. Spell, the way that they topped out, and then they sort of event happened, and then actually once the event happens, that's the sell. So the same sort of thing. You bid the market up into the start of the summer driving season, and then that's usually peak gasoline prices, and then the market starts to back off through the summer and the late fall. So the point here is just that this is the capitalist process, and Nick just took the level 2 program, and hopefully he sort of remembers our conversation about commodities and the commodity markup process. But I don't know, maybe we don't go into that that seasonal trade with you guys then. Does that sound familiar?
You might. I don't remember a ton about that. Like, I'm just thinking back to like the COT reports week. I don't know if it would be in that week or a different week, but
well, maybe I was because we do it in the level 3 program. Derek would be able to attest to when we talk about trading seasonality. So anyway, that's here nor there. How the hell did we get off on that? Oh yeah, so whether it be commodities, and really I hate to say it, although you guys hate me when I do say this, I believe that cryptocurrencies are commodities. Really the best time to invest in like venture cap stocks, usually, I don't know whether you guys remember, a couple years ago, didn't the shit hit the fan somewhere around the end of January, middle of February? Do you guys remember that?
I mean, considering it's kept me inside my house most of the last 2 years, yeah, I think I remember it.
So usually, actually, they have something that's called the January Barometer. And usually at the very end of January here, as we head into February, usually there's a dip in the market because it sort of reflects how people feel going into the fall. And, usually the stock market bottoms in like October. So, and then coming out of February, usually there's a bottom. And also, too, we have a really interesting sort of seasonal pivot here This is the Ides of March. I don't know whether you're familiar with that. But there's a lot of sort of psychological human change. And what usually happens is, even in cryptocurrencies, altcoins, you get a seasonal trough that usually comes in through that sort of late February, early March period. So I would, looking at something like this, I could see it developing something along these lines. So let's keep this in mind, right? Let's just, you do a great job on that spreadsheet to remind us of stuff to look at in the future. Let's come back and look at this in about 2 or 3 months. My hunch is it probably does something along these lines, and then away we go over here, giving you that saucer bottom. So we'll see. Yeah, keep tuned. Speaking of which, wasn't there one that we were supposed to look back on and see what happened?
Yep, that'll be in 2 weeks. We got to look back at Shiba.
All right. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens there. All right. So what do we feel like talking about now? Anything in particular? Did mention on the site today, I had a bunch of names that looked really cute. Like there was one link. And I think this is one that Crypto Chico, didn't he really like this one? I seem to remember this was one of his favorites.
He might have. Link was like the one coin in the last bear, or one of the few coins in the last bear market that just kind of kept going up. And this year, it's actually like since May at least, since the initial crash, it has just vastly been outperformed by almost anything else. But until May of this year, it did quite well.
Yes, I see. So I wonder if this thing was connected with dog money at all.
No, so this is what's called an oracle, and so it will allow a lot of protocols to get essentially their price feeds or their prices for various assets. And so it's an incredibly valuable protocol to have in crypto. I bought some early this year because people were like, yeah, that's great. And so I didn't know anything at the time, so I bought some. But I don't know what the utility of this is. I still don't. I don't see any reason to own the actual token outside of you think more people are going to buy it than sell it. But the protocol is incredibly valuable.
Well, actually, hearing you say that makes me feel as though all I really want to be is like a spectator. I would have thought that, on this maybe, that's a tough one. You don't even really have any structure here to work with. Right. In fact, actually, what do we teach in the school program? If you don't have any structure to work with to draw a trend line, what should you do?
Good old 45-degree angle.
Yeah. Only problem with that thinking is then you have to worry about squaring your charts, and is this even accurate? Actually, interesting. Look at that. There's 45 degrees right there, if that is a square chart. So watch how that can change if you adjust your settings. So that's always a challenge with these things, but nonetheless, probably the smart thing to do, I suppose, with that is go. Actually, this would be a good analogy of us using the vibrational signature. So there's your bull run, and then that actually we're going to adjust the scale so that the 1-to-1 angle, 45-degree angle, respects the trend. That's probably. Maybe something like that. Maybe. I don't know whether I would feel. Well, let's go like that. Because that looks like boom, boom, boom. I think that's the 1-to-1 angle. Let's lock that into place. And then let's zoom out a little bit. So, might be interesting to do a little square off of here. Let's see what that gives us. Yeah, so we're going through a speed bump right now. That's interesting how I have to really zoom in to make sure that this is solid. There's our 8-to-1. That's ideally the best trade angle. I don't know whether I would like to adjust this. I do see, look how that 2-to-1 really is respected here nicely.
That 8-to-1 might end up having some confluence at the 786 too.
Yeah. The only problem, I don't like the way this profile, how we dip back down into value here, eh? And actually interesting how this node here is basically right up against that 8-to-1. Anyway, interesting. Very interesting. So we're through a speed bump right now. I did like, for those people that do take risk in the market, right? And probably best, if you are a GAN fan, to maybe wait for this to resolve itself. I could see us rally up, smartly up into here. Now, usually it's not a good idea to take a trade in a speed bump. But I thought that was fascinating how we had like that double reload zone. Or I love when you get these overlapping reload zones like this little zone right in here. But I'll tell you, I'm not overly impressed with the way that this, it might be just a function of this. This is Shitterex, eh? So maybe the profile looks a little differently on other sites, but yeah. I was excited earlier today. It sure looked interesting to me. I mean, maybe it's just purely a function of I want to basically risk that W there. I was kind of like with the community, I was kind of like, if you're a risk taker, there's a W in a really interesting overlapping reload zones. I suppose if you just look at this, we're sort of the bottom of value. Could you squeak out a double? Might be tough. A double, I suppose, from here is all the way up into these areas up top here. So that's probably looking for sort of us just to sort of bang around in this range right here over the next 6-8 months kind of idea. If anything, what I'd like to see, well, let's keep an eye on this one too, is I'd like to see us get on the other side of this speed bump and then see, once we're out into this open air here, it's probably a hell of a lot easier for this thing to run up.
So what is that? Maybe end of January we could look at it, see what's up.
I wonder.
Maybe
what
beginning of Feb.
No, that actually looks like it's the beginning of January there.
Okay.
Like January 6th, January 7th, January 8th.
Okay.
Like what? What I would hope is, since I was so bullish earlier, this goes straight up. That's one of Sjord's TA charts, right? No? I would hope that we'd rally up actually and bang up against this speed bump level here, then come back down and we do something like that. That would be awesome, right? Then you're just out in the open here, ready to go, accepting back into value, rock and roll. The only problem I don't like about this chart and this trade here is it's going to be tough for me to get a double, right? I got to see a rally all the way back up here to get my double. God, I like assets where it's a hell of a lot easier to get doubles off of, to be honest with you.
Do you want to look at Ave, which is right below that on your watch list? Because that was the one that you seemed to like a little better today.
Yeah. Well, let's see what we got here. Oh, yeah. I love this one. This guy's so cute. He's a little cutie. This, to me, looks like a Head and Shoulders. Right? So, boom, 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 boom. Love it. That's sexy. So, ironically enough, considering there is the 78.6 off of this whole range, is there. I love that. That's sexier. Okay, and so this one's not so bad. This one, $400. I mean, you see this big old wick. What the hell happened on this day here, eh? Wow. Look at that.
That was, what's the Korean exchange? OKX, is it? No.
KuCoin?
Not KuCoin. It and 1 inch were released on a Korean exchange that day, and it just got bid straight up and then sold straight down.
So you always hear me say, Ben, what would I say if I saw that? What's the knee-jerk statement that comes out of my mouth when I see something like that?
Wicks and tails like to be eaten.
Yeah, nicely said. So the Head and Shoulders, For whatever it's worth, full disclosure, I threw a bid in here at 185 today to pick some up just in case there is a pullback. If anything, what I'd like to see, and actually don't really want to see it, but, David O, I got three thoughts going in my head all at once. So slow down, Brian. First off, Foggy Boggies. Probably, there's probably a nice initial objective, and that makes sense, right? Right up into this last sort of peaking part. And actually interesting, just on this volume distribution, that's also value high there, right? So I like that. That makes sense. Also, too, I'd say that based on this range, I think David said that he really likes his 1.618. I guess there's 200%. This would be the head and shoulders objective. There to there. And then there to there. Like that. So, starting to get some pretty good reasons to look for this thing to zip up top here. So, at that point, what I would like to see is nice reload zone pullback. And I think I can get my fill at that gap fill going forward, which is just nothing more than just a test of the POC, which I think is realistic. So I'm not allowed to chase. I actually wouldn't have a problem actually buying that inverted head and shoulders. That's actually not a terrible idea. It's got lots of support, right? I think it's probably... nothing's guaranteed in this business. If I was going to put odds on this, I'd say, high 60s, low 70s, which is pretty good odds. A lot of traders I know, they're happy with just like 50, 60%. So, especially if I could get like a nice pullback, fill the gap, and then I get like a nice W in here, oh my God, that would just be sex, right? So, if I see that, then of course, then I go all ape shit. But I don't, like I said, I've got a bid working in the gap right now, so I'll just be patient, let this thing pull back. But I really like the look of that. And then, as I said there a moment ago, I think getting a double off here actually doesn't look nearly as onerous. I actually think probably you could see this level up here traded to sometime into the spring and the summer there, and there, there, right? So horizontal support and resistance kind of stuff. So that's up here. So what's that? That's like 550, 560. So that's like 260, 270. So if you really wanted to, in fact, actually that even makes sense too. Our rally peak we're expecting here is 250. What a surprise. So you can see that what they're probably going to do is this is going to be one huge bottom. It breaks out, like we said, sometime into the new year, that saucer bottom. Hell, I wouldn't even be surprised if just for kicks, they come up and they actually wash that low. But something like that through there, the double takes us up into these peaks into next spring and summer. That's, I guess, what I would be thinking here.
So I do have two comments to make on this. One of them is potentially good. One of them is, I don't know. It's still a thesis I'm trying to develop for DeFi right now. But the potential positive is, I know last month, I think beginning of November-ish, they announced, Aave did, a proposal for their version 3 of their protocol. And I don't think that's out yet, but I think it was approved. So that could be a potential fundamental driver, positive fundamental driver coming up in the near future.
Well,
so that's the good. The bad, and almost, I'm glad you looked at Aave and Chainlink, because I think both of these could potentially fit in the bad. But I will say I don't know exactly all of the details of version 3. So they might have some utility for the token. I found that. Sorry, this is going to probably take 2 minutes, but I'll try to be really quick, and I'll try to actually get to the point as quick as possible.
That's
But
fine. Tell us a story. Ben wants a story.
so when I got into crypto very, very early, like beginning of January this year, and I started learning about DeFi right away because that's one of the areas that really intrigued me. Um, Not a lot of protocols actually had utility for their token, and Aave is very similar. Aave, Chainlink, a lot of the DeFi, Uniswap, SushiSwap, a lot of these tokens didn't really have a reason to hold the token, but they were new, they were exciting, they're DeFi, they're really cool to play with, and they all did really well this spring. But then the May crash happened, and the thing that was different was the newer protocols coming out in DeFi had much better tokenomics. They had utility. They did either profit sharing, or you could stake for a good APY, or they had reasons to hold the token. And when I look at the DeFi protocols who have performed well since May, it has mostly been new DeFi protocols, and then protocols that, like a couple of the old ones that have done well, like Curve has continued to do pretty well. And I really, really like Curve, but you can lock up your Curve tokens to get protocol revenue, and they just get a ton of volume. So they do have a lot of revenue. So there's reasons that you'd actually want to hold that token. But they're one of the only, I guess, like original DeFi protocols that's doing extremely well since this May dump.
Okay.
And so
what's the tokenomics of this Aave?
Aave, to me, well, I will stress I don't know a lot of all the details around their version 3.0 of their software. So maybe it's gotten better. But to me, they are along the same lines as a Chainlink, as a Uniswap or SushiSwap, or these other tokens that there's not a lot of reason to hold the token. I want to use the protocol. I want to lend and borrow. I think Aave's protocol is great. But I don't have an actual reason to hold it other than I hope the number goes up. Whereas most of these other newer protocols that are doing really well, they have reasons to hold the token. The token itself, being a token holder or staking the token, comes with benefits.
Yeah, well, so there's no sort of APY or anything along the lines if you hold this Aave.
As far as I know, you can't stake your Aave anywhere.
Yeah,
you can, I guess there are, like, a lot of times you might be able to right now, but sometimes you could deposit it and get maybe 5 to 10% paid out in Aave as well. But compared to a lot of the other protocols, like Spell, if you stake your Spell, they're doing, I just looked it up, the last 7 days they have $4 million in fees. That $4 million, they go out once a week or once roughly every week. They buy $4 million worth of Spell and they distribute it to the stakers. So you're physically getting all of the revenue of the protocol.
Right.
And protocols like that are the ones I've seen that have actually done well this second half of the year.
Well,
and so
it
just
makes sense that there's probably a very limited supply of dollars that's chasing this market. This market's gotten pretty darn big now, eh?
Mm-hmm.
So, I think what's the total market cap of this stuff? Isn't it like trillions now?
For all of crypto, it's probably around 2.5 right now.
Right.
I think the high was around 3.
In those kind of environments, the worst part about this is usually the path of least resistance is down. If it's a brand new asset, show me new high, I'll show you a buy, all that kind of fun stuff. But like this asset, for example, how many poor Korean boys and girls are trapped sleeping? Do they have couches over in Korea? What do you sleep on in Korea? I get they're probably sleeping on the floor. They don't even get couch to sleep on. They're bought in here. So this is a really good example where this thing, it actually has to have a reason to go up. Because if it doesn't, all of these people that did buy before that are underwater, by nature, there's going to be part of their supply hitting the market. It's just the way capitalism works. In fact, most stocks, the company thinks of the stock as the company's currency. So if it's the company's currency and they need to spend stuff, by definition, the stock must be going down as people exchange it for actual fiat to buy stuff with. So it makes sense that, what ends up happening, unfortunately, in bears, especially with the altcoins, is the path of least resistance for most of the market is down. And what is the compelling reason to actually get you to step in and buy? And you better have a pretty good fundamental justification. Absolutely. This is the reason why you really got to focus on fundamentals, right? And the whole idea of rational investing.
Yeah, to me, it's really difficult with DeFi because you can't just go off a protocol that fundamentally is great. Like from a use case perspective, you actually need to dig really deep into the tokenomics. Because
this is tough. This is tough because this is unregulated. You have no idea if anybody's even telling you the truth, and they have no legal obligation to tell you the truth. So this is the absolute most cutting edge of capitalism you could possibly be a part of.
And like this is one of the examples, the counter examples, I think, to where TVL doesn't necessarily mean that your protocol is undervalued, because there's billions and billions in Aave. But to me, there's no reason why, if you get more TVL, that should mean the token price actually goes up.
Well, yeah.
Where other protocols, there is a bit of a correlation I see, because the more TVL equates to better value for the token. Where with Aave, I just don't see it.
All right. I would imagine that the tokenomics are. Do you remember, like in the level 1 course, I told you about how Wall Street couldn't use the classic valuation models to value assets in the bull market, so they started switching to fancy terms like EBITDA, right? Well, EBITDA is growing at this rate, so everything's perfectly fine. So to me, that's what this is kind of like as well. I think, unfortunately, what this really should be about is like momentum. I do see a lot of this space is really momentum driven. So if anything, what a great analogy that throwing some technical analysis into your purchases is not a bad idea, right? And just hunt the W's. If you see W's in price, you see let's just see, what are the indicators suggesting here? Are there W's in these indicators?
That MACD looks pretty darn good.
Yeah, and really, this is the stuff that we want to see. Is you want to see that the public, they look at the price of this thing and they go, "This is a piece of shit, man. It just keeps going down. I don't want to touch this." But we look at this and we go, "Well, wait a minute. Something's not right here. Well, this is actually making higher lows, and this actually broke out. So really, gee whiz, that's a big honking W." So, of course, I built this one particular indicator to just simply, its job was to tell me when one guy in particular was about to give me a call. I even named it after him. Because this guy, I swear, he was terrible. He was like, I can literally set my watch. As soon as he calls and he wants to buy something, I know the damn thing's topped out. It's over. And then conversely, if he's panicking and calling up and he wants to sell, I know that he's selling the bottom and the damn thing's going to turn back up. It was almost funny. So, and I hate to say it, folks, usually Willie gets sort of like this, but when Willie is like this, and what letter of the alphabet do you actually see in the indicator? You don't see this very often, folks. You really don't. It's quite startling. How are we going to do this? put away that. I mean, what letter of the alphabet is that? Holy for holies. You almost never see that. That's stunning. So, for a guy who likes M's and W's to help me frame my trade, can you see, would that M have been wise to pay attention to? Look at that move. Boom. All right, I mean, that's the cute part about it, but look at the size of that W. Okay.
A question about that. Is it just that you don't see a big, nicely your third grade W in oversold? Or
not in the moving average. Moving average, that very rarely ever happens. I mean, this thing is saying that it's setting some sort of base here. Right.
It's a good journal for me.
Yeah, I'd journal that. That's an image worth paying attention to. The interesting thing here, too, is that we're basically coming into the end of the year, right? So, as you sort of said, why would I own one of these stuff? And what usually happens through this part of the calendar year? Is there anything that's sort of going on? And, I mean, look at the price action. As you said, anybody that came into this thing from, I guess, I mean, like, where's the price now? It's down here, right? So literally, well, I guess there was a little period here where, no, even that's even higher, right? So basically, anybody that came into this thing anytime this year, except for right in here, if you came into this thing anytime this year, you're underwater. So, let's say I'm a player, I'm a man, I trade some serious money. And yeah, I put some dough into here. And I just went and made like a whole shitload of money on Luna. I don't know. and I took profits today at the ABCD objective that this crazy guy on YouTube was telling me that this is some sort of crazy bot objective, and then that's probably a good price target. So what the fuck? I hit the bid when we were up there at $92 this morning, and of course I'm looking like a genius now, but now I've got this big honking tax bill to deal with. Now what do I do? Does it make sense? I might pull this thing up, and I bought it back last... I bought it the day that Alan was on Saturday Night Live telling us how wonderful he is at cryptocurrency analysis. Unfortunately, I don't think that idea went very well. So actually, I've got a pretty big loss here. So why don't I go and sell this, and then that'll offset the gain from Luna, and then that way I don't have a tax bill. So that's what I think to a certain degree is going on here. The only problem with that is trying to sort of fine tune like a thread and needle on picking that tax loss selling sort of ultimate low is you might find that it just, it runs out of sellers and you're like, no, I'm just going to wait just a couple more days. I really want the lowest price. And then the damn thing takes off and like, see ya, I'm out of here. Just because the market just simply ran out of sellers. You can see, look, selling, well, not so much. No, not so much. Oh, Jesus. We're making new lows, but look at the selling. There's nobody here. We're selling off on this volume? I mean, there's nothing here. And then all of a sudden, the bulls kind of sniff out that it looks like the sellers are done, and woohoo! Actually, there's a stock that did exactly the same thing today. Do you want me to show you that? Do you care? I don't know.
Claritas Pharmaceuticals.
Oh, so you already know that, right? So for anybody on the social media that doesn't know, this is a stock where I've been accumulating the whole way down here, and basically the message was that this thing was going to be weak right into the year end. There is the tax loss selling deadline, and they came out with some news today, and the damn thing just launched itself higher here. So, really good example. If you had just waited, there is the tax deadline, right? If you're going to sell, you got to have sold here, or else you've missed the deadline and you can't claim it for this year. And you can see, I think this market, it just simply ran out of sellers. and that happens a lot. So, be forewarned. So I think that's kind of what I see happening with some of these, and kind of like the link. It's interesting when we did that GAN study that kind of put me on pause there, but I see kind of the same thing that this was probably very tax driven, tax loss selling driven. You can see the W's in the indicators. Look at that damn MACD, eh? So and like this name, I remember a couple weeks ago. Maybe it was a couple of weeks ago. Maybe it was more recent. Chico Crypto. He kind of came out and he was very, very upset. And I think this was one of his sort of names that he really liked. And I wonder whether he was feeling the stress over this thing just getting ripped here. But I say, man, to me, this looks like... actually, you know what this actually really speaks to? And I think I said this earlier. This, I think, speaks to why do we even bother with technical analysis? I mean, why do we even bother doing it? And I think the answer is that really technical analysis is supposed to help you try and identify relatively low risk windows where you can take a shot and you'll know pretty easily and pretty clearly whether you're right or wrong. So, the first thing that we it's not one of the first things. Actually, I should really make it part of the level 1 program. I haven't, but more out of just never had time to include it. But let's see if we have it here. Yeah. So, one of the first concepts that you need to learn about capitalism is when like you see this price action in here where it's really herky-jerky. It's up and down and up and down. No professional trader is going to step in on that. It's too unpredictable what's going on here, and the volatility is just too much. You put some serious money to work through this, you're going to get your ass handed to you. What they actually want to try and find in something like Bollinger Bands, and I like to use Bollinger Bands on RSI. You can use Bollinger Bands on price. It's the same thing. But you'll notice that, something funny happened here, where basically the volatility came out of the market. And it's in these kind of windows that you really want to take your shot. Again, what's the point of technical analysis? Well, it's to try and identify these relatively low risk windows. You come in when like this is volatility measure, you come in when volatility is expanding like this, and damn, these things can be all over the place. And of course you can't manage millions of dollars and be able to keep like that some sanity through this kind of event, right? You really want to focus in on the low volatility events. And it's just interesting. There is that level, and that happens to be there. And taking a trade at that point when the volatility came out of the market wasn't a bad idea. And you want to try and avoid this kind of stuff, and avoid this kind of stuff where the bands are a million miles apart. So, lo and behold, what do we see here? You can see that the bands are still a bit wide, but can you see how this is trying to curl up? Remember we saw here contraction, contraction. Notice, look at what the band's trying to do here. It's trying to start curling up. This band is already coming down. So already you can see the anecdotal evidence that we're getting that volatility compression. Now, it might take some time. Be patient. Just let the trade set up. And remember we did the GAN angles, and we kind of said, maybe let's give this thing some time just to get on the other side of this trend line, on the other side of the arc. There's another anecdotal piece that's just sort of saying you don't have to be in a hurry, be a huge hurry here. And like we said, the whole point of technical analysis is trying to identify these low risks. Notice the volatility is coming out of price. This is a situation where if we start Wing out here, and I ideally like to just give this a little bit more time, a little bit more room to breathe and develop. But what I want to see is like the bands contract, us Wing out, and then that way I can go long here, place my stop below here, and I have a very clear, definite risk window. Versus like coming in and buying here. Well, I don't know. It looks like it's a good buy. Look at the volatility. Am I right? I don't know. Hey, look, I just got back to scratch. Am I right? I don't know. Woo! Am I right now? I don't know. Maybe not. I'm getting my ass handed to me. Oh, look here, the market's coming back. Am I right now? So taking a trade just willy-nilly right there. Oh, yeah. Or even like right here. And sorry, I'm just going on and on and on. Sorry I'm talking so much here. Does this make sense what I'm saying? Is this of any value what I'm trying to explain here?
Yeah, I think it's really I mean, I think one of the other things that you often harp on, or maybe not harp's the wrong word, but you often say is, if you're going to do nothing else, you can avoid a lot of those things just by buying reload zones.
Yeah.
And obviously it's not the only thing you want to frame a trade around, but if you can't put the effort forward to learn it, I mean, that at least gets you a decent start.
Right, and what I like about that is it just prevents you from chasing. Because actually, most of the customers that I used to have, like think of Nortel Networks, let's say this was the Nortel Networks chart, and this was the late 1990s into 2000s, and most people, they were like buying. Oh yeah, I'm buying my mutual funds, just buying. Then the market slams down here, and they're sort of like, okay, now what do I do? My average is there, and I'm trapped. And you can see, like, if this was the case, you almost got back to break even right there. So, let's say this is like 5 years later on Nortel kind of thing, and, after the dot-com boom is over, are you going to, like, have the patience and discipline to hold on just to get out at scratch? And then if you didn't say, well, no, I wanted to hold on to it because it was going to go to new highs, and then it just rips right back down against the lows, I mean, you're just brokenhearted, right? So a lot of times, just the reload zone itself just keeps you, avoids getting caught in this stuff here. Because that's actually with a portfolio killer, is when you chase the up market and you don't buy down markets, you buy up markets. Because you can sit on losing trades forever. I mean, at least when you buy down here, a lot of times, this probably isn't the best example. Let's see if I can just find one randomly. Well, this isn't bad. So, let's say you did the reload zone and you bought, well, that Beamish guy said, well, if I bought 61.8, 78.6, I'm going to do okay. So I'm in here buying. The okay part about this is it can dip, lower, but quite often, at least, ironically enough, a lot of times 78.6, it turns out that that's actually what happens to be the W down the road. So, again, you just avoid this by buying this stuff up here, because if you do that, you're just going to trap yourself. That sucks. So, anyway.
I know we're running out of time. Can I ask you just one weird, question about OBV?
You can always ask. What do you think, Ben? Should I give him a straight answer or bullshit?
You can give me the bullshit answer. I don't care. Could you pull up the super farm chart? It's super. The tag
super
is just super
farm chart.
Yeah, just super, and look at it on Binance.
Like that?
Probably that first tether one is fine.
There?
Yeah. And go to make sure you're on a daily. Okay. So you can kind of see, and it might not be the best example, but you see how there is some OBV divergence kind of in that recent time period. Like when you get to the highs there and you're coming down, you're seeing the OBV is continuing to go up. Yeah. Well, a little bit to the left of that, but in between maybe November 15th and the start of December, kind of those two.
Well, it looks like we're making lower lows here. And OBV's making higher lows.
But how much stock do you put into it if everyone's falling asleep? Because you can see with the volume study there, everyone is just kind of going to bed.
Doesn't even really, it looks like the bears are pretty active here.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see that the bulls were really active here, and you can see that they went to sleep right here, right?
Yep.
All right, so you can go 1, 2, 3. So volume bar down in this area here, which is awfully close, like that one there. Very close to sleepies. Might not, but let's see. Then there's also this one here, but what's this one? That's 8.15, 9 and 9. So not quite. Then, so potentially falling asleep, but they didn't. The bear is like nowhere to be seen here at all. The bull tried to wake up and go, hey, look at me, I'm still wide awake here, but we weren't able to break through this high. So in a weird sort of way, actually, you know what? No, this is slightly different, eh? Because this high over here is actually higher, isn't it? What is that? 91 million. 91.2, remember that number. 85. Oh, I beg your pardon.
Yeah, so they did fall asleep then.
Yeah, so actually they were up here. So boom, boom, boom. Bar less than that bar, that's where the bull falls asleep. And that happened pretty soon, eh? So that's 24.3 and 21. Boom. So bull fell asleep actually right there. Fascinating. So it's really now more incumbent on the bear to wake up and just take over, right? And you notice that the bear didn't really do anything here. So I think this is probably a really good example where the bull fell asleep, but the bear didn't show up. So as a result, what did price do? It basically just drifted. Right? I would actually look at this and call this a trading range. Top of the range. Probably somewhere there. Maybe even that doji right there is the bottom end of the range. So something along those lines. Bull tried to wake back up, and really everything was going fine here. That was on this bin event, so coming up against this doji low there. They tried, you can see, they tried to push it down a few times here, but on almost no volume at all. So that, if anything, you know, what's our rule? I don't know whether you've ever heard me say this. Never short a
dull market.
Right. So I think that's that scenario where you're like, okay, yeah, this is an M top. I'm going to short this thing into the ground. But the bears just don't show up. So, like, my curiosity would be like, why did this double top come in here? Was it some sort of fundamental news? Obviously it was. And does this thing trade on other places where there was a bunch of volume done there to cause that? Was this a smart contract or something that expired? But why isn't it showing up as volume that actually traded versus tether? There'd be a bunch of unknowns that I would be like, something doesn't make sense here. You know, looking, you know, I suppose if we put regular Willie on here. Through this, you know, did Willie actually get stupidly overbought? Not quite. Kind of close, eh? But kind of just a rolling top here. Nasty that they actually did try to push it up to new highs and that failed, which created nasty momentum divergences. So it almost looks to me like this was just purely a function that price just ran out of steam. They stretched the rubber band too far. It just couldn't be stretched any further. That's what this looks like to me.
Okay. Yeah, I hadn't really seen an example like this before where you do have some volume divergence, but then also the bulls are falling asleep at the same time while you have other price momentum indicators that look bad. It was just a weird example, and I was curious.
This does look odd, right? Because I think you can see, you know, there's Ben. Interesting how it's right at that level, eh? The problem is that, you know, some people like to trade Ben, you know, other people like to do things like pump chaser zone, that kind of stuff. I'm chicken shit by nature. So I would actually be thinking that my expectation would be that we have to come all the way right back down into here. Against this original sort of bottom down in here. And actually, I think you can even go like, that's a W right there. And then this is a really big one, but nonetheless, that's probably an important level in there. Oh, that's the POC. So, you know, like this, one thing I will say, like, and I also too, I don't know what the fundamental story is here. This would be interesting. Like I said, there's probably something fundamentally going on here with regard to supply and the tokenomics and all that. What I would just simply say here is, if you do get a breakout through this trend line, you're probably going to bang up into some serious resistance here. But what I would like is I'd like to, if anything, I kind of like something like that. Yeah. So maybe we're going to see some more of that kind of sauce or bottomy type action. I'd love to see something like that. I hate when the MACD does this kind of extended move, because when this peters out and it rolls over, it means that that's just straight down. There's nothing really holding up until we get back to that low, eh? I do not like it when MACD does that. That's not good.
Yeah, and I wasn't looking to buy this. I actually bought that 54-cent W, that first one that you drew up.
Okay.
And so I've sold two doubles, I think, now. So I'm enjoying my position. It was just weird that just seeing that OBV like that was just weird to me.
Yeah. And I think probably, it's interesting because I remember we had one guy, I suppose if you look at that image, right? I think your OBV turned down here. That's probably where your base is, down in here. Higher highs and higher lows defines a bull. What do you think the odds are that that's a fog and bomb off of that level? Which means, by definition, we were going to have to come back down and check the original breakout.
I could be pretty close to a 2618.
Yeah. So it's something like that. And then the question is, do you use that high? Maybe, I don't know. But point here is, what usually happens in this scenario is we go up, tag that, then come back down, kiss the original breakout, and here is where you really want to see the bull step up. So what do we want to see in here out of our indicators? How about maybe like bull divs? We're not really getting it. We got this going on here, so that's an interesting fight. I would have preferred to see Willie a little bit more saucery and a little bit more stupidly oversold. Like, we're not even oversold yet here. So, and then also too, look how wide the volatility bands are, right? Remember I said earlier, like, this is what you really want to see. See how they're compressing like that? Then of course you see the beautiful W in the indicator here. That's what you really want to see. Look how wide these things are now. Eek. So I think you just got to give this a little bit of time just to settle down in here. And also too, what would you think? Just me personally, would I consider this good trade location right in here right now?
You would not.
Yeah, kind of iffy. In fact, this has got heartbreak written all over it. It sucks. So, hey, it is an interesting technical study. And actually, something I don't like about this is you can see somebody clearly got some sort of religion through here. Let's go. I'm a bull. Fucking A. Let's kick the ass. And then what happened? Like, literally, there's no follow through. Where did the bull go? And now you have another situation where we might have, if we do a bar less than that day, see you later. We're toast. So be careful there, folks. Be careful.
Yeah, thanks. No, I was curious on your thoughts because it just looked like a really weird study.
Yeah, kind of. You know what this is? This to me says, too late to sell, too early to buy. If you're long, like you said, you've banged off some doubles, you got free coins on the books, it's not really compelling enough where you go, holy shit, that's cheap, I gotta go get some, I'll go reload. We're not quite there yet. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I gotcha.
Right.
Thanks.
Ben, you've been so patient tonight. My apologies. I'm trying to include you in the conversation. Is there anything you want to look at?
No, that was great. I mean, OBV's that concept of the 3 bars and the loss of that low between the 2 and the 3 was always a bit of a hard one for me to get my head around. So seeing the repetition of it was great.
Okay, well, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right, that'll be $50, please. Just kidding. Hell, I give this stuff away for you guys. Well, no, I don't. I think we're fair. Okay, well, it is after 8. Did we have fun tonight? Did you guys? Are you guys over on YouTube? What do we got? We got a big 18 people. Woohoo! Half of them are site member. Actually, it'd be interesting if there's anybody actually watching this that isn't a TRIer. All right. Well, any closing thoughts? Anything?
We should do our picks.
Yeah, we gotta do our little contest here. So, Ben, you want to go first?
Sure.
What's the big prediction?
I'm thinking the 0 again. I know it's boring, but
that's fascinating. So all of us, we're all voted the exact same, eh? I didn't notice that. All right, so you're gonna go for a big 0? Boosh.
Yeah.
Nick, what do you think, Nick? How are you feeling? Is voting 0 helping your portfolio or hurting it?
I mean, it definitely helped it the last few days. I mean, Spell and Ice have been doing really well again. So,
all right, Ice,
that was one of those where, like, I bought, like I think I had said this. I bought Spell at like 0.04 of a cent, and it's at, I don't know, 2.5 cents or so now. And so, it's just one of those things where, like, a 1% buy turned into a large percentage of the portfolio, and similarly with Ice. And so, I'm just sitting on free positions and just enjoying watching them go up and down. But
excellent, perfect, music to my ears.
I kind of, this is like the one week I feel like I've ever gotten it right, like truly right, because my thought last week was everyone thought, okay, well, we had good news from the JPOW announcement, like, because that was, I think, last Wednesday, wasn't it? And so everyone was so rah bull. I said, yeah, well, what's everyone expecting us to go up? So like, we'll go down a bit and then we'll recover by the end of the week. Yeah. And I'm very hesitant, but I think this is more hopium than anything. I'm gonna put a 1 for the first time in over 2 months.
Oh dang! There we go.
I was kind of going between a 0 and a 1. I just, why not? Let's go for it.
All right. Well, I didn't even know we could do 1.5s. That's interesting.
Yeah, that was a weird one. I don't remember my reasoning for that. Cool. You can keep in mind the last time I said a 1, we went down $7,300. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, unfortunately, and I guess Derek we'll get Derek's vote in the coming week. And happy birthday to your boy there, Derek. Unfortunately, we just actually went through an up cycle, and I got a bad feeling we got to go through a down cycle now, which sucks. Where did I do this? Nope. There it is, way over there. Boom. Yeah. So, oh boy, I don't like the look of this at all. Tomorrow, or next Wednesday is the 29th. Wow. I think I'm gonna have to go with a. -1, just because we're going through a nasty cycle. I wouldn't be surprised if we're around. I'm even gonna say somewhere. I'll be even audacious, next Wednesday. I don't think we're gonna be way down here, but I wouldn't be surprised if we're in this area here. But we'll see how it goes. So I just feel as though, unfortunately, we've kind of played that little dead cat bounce move out now. So anyway, I'll be looking for a stab against these lows here in the next week. So I'm going to vote for a -1. So we'll see how it goes. -1. Boom. All right. Well, the votes are tallied. Actually, we're all over. Isn't that interesting? So we were all in agreement last week, and now all three of us are all different this week. That's fascinating. Okay.
Hey, you know what? We just set us up, so pretty much one of us is going to be right next week.
There you go. So that's called hedging your bets.
Yeah.
So, and actually, let's do a poll on YouTube. Everybody watching on YouTube, in your comments, poll who you think's going to be right next week: Nick, Ben, or Brian. And honestly, I hope all of you say who's bullish. Nick. So I hope all of you say Nick.
I don't know if that's good, though, because that could be a sentiment indicator we want to run counter to.
Well, if anything, that's what scares me right now. Is, like I had... what I have? Yeah, here. So we had the breakout through the trend line. Everybody, and I mean everybody and their brother turned bullish there. I mean, it was ridiculous. And yet we never really did have a W there. So I don't know. I have no sign. I mean, this is scary. And I hate to say this. I don't mean to be a jerk. But I have no buy signal here. So it's sort of like, what do you do? Joe's going to be right. Thank you. Who's that? Jojo? Jojo is always right. All right. Okay, well, what do you think, gentlemen? Shall we call it an evening?
Yeah, thanks for tonight. It was fun.
Yeah. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Nick.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Of course, Merry Christmas to you and your family and everybody out there on interneting land. If you did get any value out of this broadcast, we originally wanted to do this broadcast to, look at that, 16 people. It's almost funny, really. But we originally did this broadcast to try and help fund a plot of land in Decentraland. That's I still want to use these funds for this. I think you've contributed a grand total of $130. So thank you very much for every penny. And maybe we'll have to wait for a correction in mana to go shopping there. But if you got some value out of this and you'd like to contribute, there is the ETH address, and we'd all love you dearly for that. Have yourselves a great Christmas. Of course, feel free to pop on the site and check out our wares. I have to say, I'm very pleased to see. I think, frankly speaking, just even this library itself, I think is worth, I think it's like $50 a month subscription we have for the base package. Now everybody gets a nice dashboard that gives us a really nice overview of the market to watch, and you can just sit and watch all of our video content and read a little bit about what blogs we're doing and blog posts and tweeting and stuff like that, and journaling entries and stuff. And also, I'll speak to this overview through the daily briefs. If you want to, we have a very small add-on right now for site members. It's ridiculously cheap. So I suggest every site member just do it. Get it on done. And in the future, we'll also be doing an add-on subscription to actually be able to mine this platform, and I think this is just a world of information. I'm going to have so much fun trading off of this now, and I think it actually gives you really, really good crypto information to work with. So hopefully this appeals to the crypto audience. Not only do we have a crypto top 30 sort of kind of think of like the Dow kind of futures kind of thing, and I'm still updating some of the symbols here, so they're not all like this. Like we won't have this CRO in here, but we have this. Basically, we use every single day. Like one of the reasons why I mentioned that link in Aave this morning was just popping on here and seeing the W's. I mean, they're all over the place. There's another one on ADA. So fantastic tool to help in your trading day. And of course, we got the screeners just doing their thing. Would you like to get that kind of notice in your email in the morning? think it's probably worth a couple bucks. You could probably make the site subscription back on just one trade. So. But we'll leave that for the marketing department down the road. So thank you so much, gentlemen, for an awesome evening and a great conversation as always. Where the hell did I put the spreadsheet? Thought I had it just up here. Maybe I put it away. PMA for the win. We'll go out with just the dashboard. Thanks again to my co-host here, Nick. Thank you very much, sir. And Ben, thank you too. Have yourselves great holiday with your families, and I guess we'll see you after Santa does his thing. So have yourselves a great evening, and Ben, why don't you take us on out of here this week if you don't mind? The only thing left for TRI to say at this point is...
Bye for now.